The Scarlet Stain. The Ice Weeps 1. Arrival at the End of the World. Dr. Elias Vance, a brilliant but stubbornly independent glaciologist, is dropped by a massive military transport plane onto the austere, blinding white expanse of the Taylor Glacier base. Unlike the weary researchers already there, Vance radiates an almost manic energy. He ignores the standard welcome and demands immediate transport to the site. Tension. The base commander, Dr. Ingrid Thorne, a pragmatic veteran scientist, immediately clashes with Vance over his cavalier attitude towards safety and procedure. She sees him as reckless. He sees her as a bureaucratic obstacle to history. Setting the mood. The interior of the prefabricated base is a stark contrast to the outside, metallic, cramped, and humming with generators. Thorne warns Vance about the history of the site. The local Inuit population calls the area the mountain's bleeding eye. Scene 2. The confrontation with the phenomenon. Vance, accompanied by a small, skeptical support team, finally reaches the terminus of the Taylor Glacier. The air is so still, the only sound is the cracking ice. Then he sees it. The visual hook. A two-story cascade of viscous, opaque crimson is pouring directly out of a fissure in the ice face, staining the brilliant white glacier a disturbing arterial red. It is not flowing like clean water, but sluggishly, like an injury. The scientific awe. Vance is speechless, immediately forgetting his arrogance. He drops to his knees, collecting the eerie liquid in sterile flasks, his gloved fingers coming away stained deep red. He notes the unusually high salinity in the air around the falls. "It's not just water," he whispers, "it's a wound." Scene 3. The ghost in the data. Back in the temporary field lab, Vance works late, running initial spectroscopic analyses. The results are confusing. No common contaminants, no detectable algal DNA. Frustrated, he throws his findings onto his desk, landing next to a file containing archival records. The historical anchor. He picks up the file containing the journal of the first explorer who documented the falls in the early 1900s. The pages are brittle and yellowed. The lighting is dim, emphasizing the solitude and the weight of history. The cliffhanger. The camera zooms in on the explorer's frantic, century-old handwriting, juxtaposed with the fresh images of the falls on Vance's monitor. The last legible line, scrawled beneath a hastily drawn sketch of the crimson flow, is the episode's devastating final voiceover. "This is not water. This is an ominous warning." The camera pulls back as Vance stares into the red liquid, suddenly realizing his mission is far more perilous than he imagined. The initial press briefing fiasco days after sampling, Dr. Elias Vance stands before the base crew and a small remote satellite press team. He is prepared to announce the groundbreaking geological nature of the falls, having completed the preliminary analysis. The revelation, the first twist. Vance projects the data. The liquid is not organic, no red algae, but a hypersaline, superoxidized brine, a cocktail of water and iron salts. He explains the crimson color is simply rust, Fe2+ arrow, Fe3+, reacting with the air. The reaction, the room is deflated. The media team begins packing up, dismissing the story as just salty rust. Vance argues the level of salinity is the real discovery, but the momentum is lost. The Cold War begins. Dr. Lena Hansen, a senior geophysicist who was passed over for the project lead, a detail known by the base crew, strides into the lab. She is meticulous, cold, and views Vance as an impulsive amateur. Lena's taunt, she stands over his complex million-dollar equipment, looking down at the red sample. In front of Dr. Thorne and the team, she delivers a calculated verbal attack. "You dragged us all to the end of the earth for a geological curiosity, Elias. Millions of dollars spent to prove a glacier is capable of corrosion. Where is the life? Where is the history? You found a rusty stain." Vance's defense. Vance counters by highlighting the impossibility of the liquid source. It's too pure, too pressurized, and too isolated to be simple runoff. "The chemistry of the brine is anomalous, Lena. Something in the iron balance is unprecedented. We just need to trace the source of the reservoir. Their argument is sharp, personal, and establishes their antagonistic relationship. A shadow in the lab, the sabotage. The pressure mounts on Vance to produce results. Late that night, while the base is mostly asleep, Vance is reviewing data logs when he notices a momentary spike in the lab's security system. The action, he rushes to the contamination control room. The scene is silent, but a chilling realization hits him. The high-tech filtration equipment, critical for isolating and sterilizing trace elements from the brine, has been subtly tampered with. A key regulator is over-tightened, and a sample flask is missing its sterile seal. The cliffhanger. Vance grabs a security recording fragment. The footage is dark, but the brief glimpse shows a shadowy figure with a precise, almost surgical manner of working. The figure wears the standard issue Arctic parka, but the silhouette is indistinguishable. Vance stares at the screen, his face a mixture of fear and rage, knowing someone on the base is actively trying to contaminate his work and silence his research. Who is the saboteur and what are they trying to cover up? Scene 1. The accusation and denial. Dr. Elias Vance presents the evidence of the tampering to Dr. Thorne, showing the slight modifications made to the delicate filtration system. Thorne is appalled but skeptical of a deliberate, internal saboteur. The paranoia. Vance suspects Dr. Lena Hansen, given her scathing dismissal of his findings, but he has no concrete proof. Thorne dismisses the footage from episode 2 as a lighting trick and suggests a routine equipment malfunction. We're in Antarctica. Elias' equipment fails. You're letting your ambition cloud your judgment. The ultimatum. Realizing he is running out of time and trust, Vance decides to take a high-risk approach. He must bypass the surface outflow and prove the existence of a sealed, stable source. If this is just corrosion, he challenges Thorne, then the reservoir won't be a reservoir at all. It'll just be a slow leak. Scene 2. Mapping the subglacial prison. Vance and his loyal technician move the powerful ground-penetrating radar, GPR unit, onto the glacier surface, directly above the fall's estimated source. The process is slow and fraught with tension as they drill deep sensor arrays into the ancient ice. The action sequence. The team monitors the GPR screen. Initially, it shows a dense, uniform layer of solid ice. Then, at the 100-meter mark, fissures begin to appear. The capillary system feeding the falls. The team leans in, expecting the fissures to lead to a pressure chamber or a small pocket. The shocking revelation. The second twist. At a depth of approximately 400 meters, the fissures abruptly terminate, opening up into a colossal, stable, dark blue void. The screen blazes with the impossible image of a massive subglacial lake, an entire body of liquid water, pressurized and completely isolated, sealed beneath the glacier. Vance punches the wall in triumph and terror. It's not a leak, it's a prison. Scene 3. The cold chain of command. While Vance is celebrating his monumental discovery, a stable liquid environment where none should exist, Dr. Lena Hansen is in her quarters, staring at the projected depth map. Her face is grim, not triumphant. The cryptic call, her secure satellite phone buzzes. The screen shows an untraceable encrypted connection. The voice on the other end is deep and emotionless. The readings, are they stable? Lena's lie. Lena confirms the lake's existence, but lies about the duration. It appears to be a recent accumulation of geothermal melt, likely a few decades old. The cliffhanger. The voice cuts through her lie. The GPR data doesn't lie, Hansen. The isotopic signature of the iron alone suggests the ice has been stable for 2 million years. The anomaly must remain buried. We know about the 2 million years. Lena hangs up, her hands shaking. Her mission just got terrifyingly real, and her handlers know everything. The true scope of the cover-up has just been revealed. The Forgotten Era, an impossible time capsule. Vance and his team are reeling from the GPR confirmation of the enormous, sealed subglacial lake. Dr. Thorne confirms the geological implications. The surrounding rock strata and glacial movement indicate the ice shield has been structurally stable for millennia. The geologic debate, the team pores over maps and data logs. The consensus is startling. The water was sealed during the transition from the Pliocene to the Pleistocene epoch, before the major cyclic ice ages. This means the water itself is an untouched relic. The frustration. They realize the lake is essentially a time machine, but they can only sample the small, outflowing brine, which has been oxidized by the air. They need a deep water sample, but drilling through 400 meters of stable ice in a pressurized lake is an astronomical, dangerous undertaking. The Pliocene flashback Vance gives an impassioned presentation to the base crew, projecting images of a drastically different, warmer Earth. This provides the historical context for the reservoir's formation. The visual context, a dramatic montage sequence, a flashback shows the Pliocene era. Antarctica was less frigid, allowing liquid water to pool beneath the burgeoning glaciers. The very life that created the reservoir was sealed away as the great continental sheets locked into place, initiating a 2 million-year-long geological prison. Vance's obsession. He connects the geological isolation to the chemical anomaly. This brine isn't just salty, he argues. It's chemically Precambrian. No modern influence, no oxygen saturation, no sunlight for 2 million years. It's an entire world trapped down there. He becomes fixated on the survival aspect, the seed of doubt. Dr. Lena Hansen watches Vance's presentation with an unnerving calm. She knows the true age confirms the cryptic warning she received in episode 3. She pulls aside the technician who helped Vance with the GPR scan. Lena's manipulation. She doesn't ask about the lake. She asks about the filtration equipment from episode 2. She suggests the malfunction was caused by Vance overpressurizing the system in his haste. She plants a seed of doubt. Vance is brilliant, but he's reckless. He's so focused on the ancient world, he might destroy the living one around him. The final line. Vance is later seen alone in the lab, staring into a flask of the dark red brine, the Pliocene images still haunting his mind. He mutters, his voice full of chilling wonder. If chemistry can survive that long, what else can? The episode ends, leaving the audience to wonder if this isolation was meant to preserve or imprison. The microbe mandate, the unauthorized test. Despite the official classification of the brine as a geological anomaly, the ambitious and conscientious junior technician, Maya Singh, cannot shake the feeling that something living is in the water. She recalls Vance's own words, "If chemistry can survive that long, what else can?" The action. Maya secretly uses the base's older, low-tech incubator, the one not tampered with in episode 2, to run a long-shot microbial culture test on the most concentrated brine samples. She works in the dead of night, using an antique Bunsen burner and simple agar. The result, after a tense overnight wait, Maya checks the petri dishes. The first two are clean, but the third, taken directly from the pressurized outflow sample, shows minute, distinct, reddish-brown colonies clustering near the iron flakes. It's a positive culture. She has a proof of ancient, isolated life.